The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days, inside the Blackwood mansion. More than 200 guests dressed in black gathered for one funeral. Everyone had come to honor Alina Blackwood, the woman who had built one of the largest family-owned companies in America, at the front of the chapel. 3 children stood beside her coffin, the eldest son, Ethan Blackwood, 34 years old, confident, successful, the future CEO beside him. His younger sister, Sophia Blackwood, 26, beautiful, elegant. Family's favorite, standing a few feet away, almost unnoticed, was the third child, Emily, 24 years old. She wore a simple black dress, no expensive jewelry, no designer handbag. Most guests didn't even know. She was part of the family. One woman quietly whispered, "Who is that girl?" Another answered, "The adopted daughter." "I almost forgot they adopted someone years ago." Emily heard every word. She smiled politely, as if she were used to it, because she was for 18 years. She had heard the same sentence. Not really one of us. When Emily was 6 years old, she arrived at the Blackwood mansion carrying only one small backpack. She believed she had finally found a family. Instead, she found a house where she was never allowed to feel at home. Ethan ignored her. Sophia copied everything her parents said. The servants treated her kindly. The family never did. Only one person loved her, Alina, every birthday. Alina secretly baked Emily her favorite chocolate cake. Every Christmas, she wrapped one gift herself. Every time Emily cried, Alina reminded her, "You are stronger than you know." Emily never understood why Alina loved her so differently. She would soon find out. The priest finished his final prayer. People slowly walked toward Alina's coffin, one by one. They placed white roses beside her. Ethan placed 3. Sophia placed 2. Emily stepped forward holding only one before she could place it down. Ethan grabbed her wrist. His voice was quiet, but cold. "That's enough." Emily looked at him. "What do you mean? You've already taken enough from this family." Chapel became silent. Sophia crossed her arms. "Don't make today about yourself." Emily slowly lowered the rose. "I only wanted to say goodbye." Ethan stared into her eyes. "You already said goodbye. The day our parents brought you into this house." No one defended her, not one person. Emily gently placed the white rose beside Alina anyway. Then she whispered so quietly, only Alina could hear, "Thank you for being the only person who ever called me daughter." She turned to leave. Then a deep voice echoed across the chapel. "Nobody leaves." Everyone turned. An elderly man wearing a dark gray suit stood beside the entrance. He carried a worn leather briefcase. His expression was calm. "My name is Charles Whitmore. I was Alina Blackwood's attorney for 37 years. He slowly opened the briefcase, removed a sealed envelope across the front. Only 6 handwritten words appeared. Asterisk asterisk open only after my funeral. Asterisk asterisk. Charles looked around the room. Alina left one final instruction. No one receives a single dollar until every member of this family hears her last message. Ethan smiled confidently. Sophia looked relieved. Emily quietly stepped backward. She expected nothing. She never had. Charles inserted a small flash drive into the television. The screen flickered. Then Alina appeared. She looked directly into the camera. Her eyes found Emily immediately. Then she said the sentence that changed every life inside that chapel. "If Emily is still standing in the back of the room, then my family has failed her once again." Chapel fell into complete silence. No one moved, no one even breathed. Alina looked directly into the camera. "If Emily is still standing in the back of the room, then my family has failed her once again." Ethan's confident smile disappeared. Sophia slowly folded her arms. "What is this supposed to mean?" Charles quietly answered, "Please let her finish." Alina took a slow breath. "If you're watching this, then I can no longer protect Emily." Emily felt tears filling her eyes. For years, she had wondered why Alina always hugged her a little longer than everyone else, why she secretly slipped birthday cards under her bedroom door, why she whispered, "One day you'll understand." Alina continued, "Ethan, you were 12 years old when Emily entered this family. You promised me you would be her big brother." Ethan lowered his eyes. "You kept that promise for exactly 3 weeks." Guests exchanged nervous glances. "Sophia, you were only 4 when you were afraid of thunderstorms. Emily stayed awake beside your bed every night." Sophia frowned. "I don't remember that." Alina smiled sadly. "No, because no one ever told you." Emily looked at Sophia. She remembered every one of those nights. Holding Sophia's hand, reading bedtime stories, singing quietly until she fell asleep. Sophia had never known. Alina's voice became heavier. 18 years. I carried a secret that destroyed this family from the inside. I believed silence would protect my children. I was wrong. Charles slowly closed his eyes. He had heard these words only once before, on the day Alina recorded them. Emily whispered, "What secret?" Alina looked directly into the camera. "Emily, you were never brought into this family because of charity." Room froze. Ethan looked up. Sophia's face turned pale. "You came into our home because I made a promise." Emily's heartbeat quickened. "Promise?" Alina nodded. "To your mother." Emily felt as though the floor disappeared beneath her. "My mother?" Alina's eyes filled with tears. "On the night she died, she placed your hand in mine. She begged me, 'Please don't let my little girl grow up alone.' Emily couldn't breathe all her life. She believed she had been abandoned. She believed no one wanted her now. Everything she believed about her childhood was beginning to fall apart. Then Alina quietly spoke the words that shocked the entire chapel. "Emily, your mother didn't die because of an accident." Chapel erupted with whispers. Ethan took one step toward the screen. "What are you saying?" Alina looked straight into the camera. "She was trying to protect someone, and she gave her life for it." Emily's tears began falling. "Who?" Alina whispered. "You." Then the screen suddenly went black. The entire chapel gasped. Someone had disconnected the television. The screen went black. The chapel exploded with confusion. Guests stood from their seats. "What happened? Did the video end?" Charles Whitmore frowned. "It shouldn't have." He rushed to the television. The flash drive was gone. Silence. Someone had removed it without anyone noticing. Charles slowly turned toward the crowd. "No one leaves." His voice was louder this time. "I said, no one leaves." The heavy chapel doors slammed shut. Two security guards locked them from the inside. Emily looked around. Everyone seemed nervous, everyone. Except one man, Victor Lang, the Blackwood family's oldest business partner. He remained perfectly calm. Too calm. Emily noticed something. Victor wasn't looking at the television. He was watching her, as if he had expected everything that had just happened. Charles took a deep breath. There was a second copy. He reached into his leather briefcase, pulled out another flash drive. The room fell silent. Victor's confident expression disappeared. Charles looked directly at him. Alina expected someone would try to stop the truth. He inserted the second drive. The screen came back to life. Alina appeared again. This time, she wasn't smiling. "If this recording was interrupted, then the person I feared most is inside this chapel." Several guests slowly stepped away from one another. Alina continued. "I have spent 18 years pretending not to know." I smiled. I attended family dinners. I shook hands. Every day, I waited. Emily's heart pounded. Alina looked directly into the camera. "Emily, if you're hearing my voice, I need you to be brave. The next few minutes will change everything." She slowly lifted an old photograph. It showed two young women. One was Alina, the other looked exactly like Emily. The chapel became silent again. Emily whispered, "Who is she?" Alina answered with tears in her eyes, "That's your mother." Emily couldn't stop staring at the photograph. They had the same eyes, the same smile, even the same small birthmark beside the left eyebrow. Sophia quietly whispered, "They look like sisters." Alina slowly nodded. They were. Room froze. Ethan stared at the screen. "What?" Alina took a long breath. "Emily, your mother wasn't a stranger. Was my younger sister." Emily felt the world collapse around her. "No." Alina nodded slowly, "Which means you were never just my adopted daughter." Tears rolled down her face. "You were, Inez." The entire chapel erupted into shocked voices. Emily couldn't move for 24 years. She believed she had no family left. Now she had learned something impossible. She had been living with her own family all along, and they had never told her the truth. The chapel erupted into chaos. People whispered. Some cried. Others stared at Emily as if they had never seen her before. Emily couldn't breathe. She looked at Ethan, then at Sophia, then back at Alina's face on the screen. "No, this can't be true." Ethan's voice trembled. "Grandma, would you keep something like this from us?" Alina answered quietly. "Because I wasn't protecting a secret. I was protecting a child." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You let me believe that nobody wanted me." Alina closed her eyes. "I know. I will carry that guilt forever." Charles lowered his head. Even he couldn't hide his emotions. Alina continued. "The night Emily's parents died, I arrived at the hospital too late. My sister was barely conscious. Held my hand and whispered only 4 words. Asterisk, asterisk, don't trust Richard. Asterisk, asterisk, the chapel became silent again. Everyone looked at Richard Blackwood, Ethan and Sophia's late father, whose portrait stood beside Alina's coffin. Sophia frowned. "My father?" Alina nodded slowly. "Yes," Emily whispered, "my uncle." A tear rolled down Alina's cheek. "He was more than your uncle. Was the last person your parents met before they died." Ethan immediately stood up. No. My father loved this family. Alina looked directly into the camera. I wanted to believe that too. For years, I convinced myself I was wrong, until I found the letter. Charles quietly opened another envelope from his briefcase. Its paper had turned yellow with age across the front. Only one sentence had been written, *** to Alina. If anything happens to us, ***. Emily's hands began to shake. My mother's handwriting. Charles carefully unfolded the letter. I was instructed to read this only after Alina's message. Chapel fell silent. He began reading Alina. You're holding this letter. Richard has already lied to everyone. A wave of whispers spread through the room. Charles continued, please protect Emily. She is the only witness. Even if she doesn't remember it. Emily frowned. Only witness. Charles looked up from the letter. His own hands were trembling. He slowly read the final sentence, the night we were attacked. Emily saw the face of the man who ordered our deaths. Silence. Emily felt a sharp pain in her head, a forgotten memory, rain, broken glass, someone shouting, a little girl crying then, a man's voice, very close, very familiar. Emily suddenly grabbed her head. I remember. Every person in the chapel turned toward her. Emily slowly looked across the room. Her eyes stopped on one man, Victor Lang. His face had turned completely pale. Emily whispered, I've seen you before. Victor took one slow step backward, because for the first time in 24 years, the little girl he believed would never remember had finally started remembering. Victor Lang's face turned white for a brief second. No one moved. Emily kept staring at him. Know you? Victor forced a smile. I think you're mistaken. Emily closed her eyes. Another memory flashed through her mind. Rain, a black car, her mother screaming, Emily, don't look. Then, a silver pocket watch swinging from a man's hand. Emily opened her eyes. She looked at Victor again. The same silver pocket watch was hanging from his vest. Her voice trembled. You had that watch. That night. Chapel fell silent. Victor slowly covered the watch with his hand. You've imagined it. Emily shook her head. No, I remember now. You were standing beside my father. Charles looked directly at the federal agents. Do not let him leave. Victor laughed nervously. This is the memory of a 5-year-old child. It proves nothing. Before anyone could answer, Alina's video continued playing. I knew this moment would come. If Emily ever remembers the watch, Victor will know the truth is finally catching him. Victor froze. His breathing became uneven. Ethan looked at him. Tell me she's lying. Victor remained silent. Sophia whispered, please, say something. Victor slowly turned toward the Blackwood family. For 30 years. They had trusted him, celebrated birthdays with him, shared Christmas dinners, called him family. He quietly smiled, then said the words no one expected. I didn't kill Emily's parents. Chapel filled with shocked whispers. Emily's heart pounded. Victor continued. Only drove the car. Silence. Ethan stepped backward. No. Victor looked directly into Emily's eyes. Man who gave the order. Was someone your family loved far more than me. Emily felt her stomach tighten. What are you talking about? Victor slowly raised his trembling hand, pointed toward the large portrait beside Alina's coffin. Richard Blackwood, Ethan and Sophia's late father, Emily's uncle. Victor whispered. Richard planned everything. Sophia screamed, you're lying. Victor closed his eyes. I wish I were. Then, a loud voice echoed from the back of the chapel. He's telling the truth. Everyone turned. An elderly woman slowly walked through the open doors. She leaned on a wooden cane. Her eyes immediately filled with tears when she saw Emily. She whispered, my God, you look exactly like your mother. Charles stared at her in disbelief. Woman nodded. Stayed silent for 24 years. She looked directly at Emily. But I won't stay silent another day. Emily's voice barely escaped. Who are you? The woman smiled through her tears. I was your mother's best friend. I saw the night your life changed forever. Chapel was silent. No one recognized the elderly woman except Charles Whitmore. Evelyn, I thought you had left the country. Evelyn gave a sad smile. I did. I promised I would never return. She looked at Emily. But promises mean nothing. When a child spends 24 years believing a lie, Emily slowly stepped toward her. You knew my mother, Evelyn nodded, since we were 15. Grew up together. We dreamed together. On the night she died. I was supposed to be in that car. Room gasped. Victor slowly lowered his head. He already knew who she was. Evelyn looked directly at him. You remember me. Victor didn't answer. You thought I died too. Silence. Evelyn reached into her handbag. She removed a faded photograph. It showed 4 smiling people, Emily's parents, Alina and Evelyn. They were my family. Emily carefully took the picture, her hands trembled. This is the first photograph I've ever seen of my parents. Tears rolled down her face. Evelyn gently touched Emily's cheek. You have your mother's smile. Your father's eyes. Emily whispered. What really happened that night? Evelyn closed her eyes. 24 years, replayed that night in my mind. It was raining. Your parents had just left Aliner's house. They believed they were finally safe. Emily frowned. Safe from what? Evelyn looked around the chapel, then quietly answered. Had discovered someone inside the Blackwood company. Was stealing millions from innocent families. Guests exchanged nervous glances. Ethan looked confused. My father, Evelyn slowly shook her head. No, wasn't stealing the money. Made a different choice. Whispered, what choice? Evelyn's voice broke. He chose to protect the thief. Room fell silent again. Emily couldn't understand. My uncle. Protected a murderer, Evelyn nodded slowly. Because the thief had something. Richard feared more than prison. Charles frowned. What could be worse than prison? Evelyn looked directly at Emily. The truth. Before anyone could ask another question, she reached into her handbag again this time. She removed a small silver music box. Emily's breathing stopped. She knew it without knowing how. She knew it. Evelyn carefully placed it into Emily's hands. You carried this everywhere when you were little. Emily slowly opened the lid. A soft melody filled the chapel. The sound hit her like lightning, suddenly. Another forgotten memory came rushing back. She was hiding beneath a wooden table, holding the same music box. Someone was shouting. Glass shattered then. A man's voice, calm, cold. She couldn't see his face, but she heard every word. Take the child. She's the only one who can identify me. Emily's hands began to shake uncontrollably. The music box slipped from her fingers. It hit the marble floor. The lid sprang open inside. Hidden beneath the tiny mechanism was a folded piece of paper. No one had ever known it was there. Charles slowly picked it up. He unfolded it. His face instantly turned pale. Changes everything. Charles stared at the tiny piece of paper. His hands began to tremble. The chapel was silent. Emily stepped closer. What is it? Charles swallowed. It isn't a letter. It's a bank deposit receipt. Ethan frowned. A receipt? Charles slowly nodded. It was issued 24 years ago. He carefully turned the faded paper over. The amount printed across the bottom made several guests gasp. $25,000,000,000. Sophia whispered. $25 million. Charles continued reading. Money was transferred. The morning after Emily's parents died. Emily felt a chill run through her body. Who received it? Charles looked down. His face lost all color. I don't believe this. Evelyn quietly asked, whose name? Charles hesitated, then slowly answered. Blackwood. Chapel erupted. Ethan slammed his fist onto a wooden pew. No, my father would never accept blood money. Victor closed his eyes. He didn't. Everyone turned toward him. Victor spoke quietly. The account was opened in Richard's name, but he never touched a single dollar. Emily frowned. Then who did? Victor looked toward the chapel doors. He died before he could. Silence, Sophia whispered. Someone else emptied the account. Victor nodded, every cent. Charles examined the receipt again. There was another signature. He adjusted his glasses. It isn't Richard's. It isn't Victor's. Emily slowly stepped closer. Whose is it? Charles whispered the name, Margaret Blackwood. Room froze. Emily frowned. Who is Margaret? No one answered. Even Ethan looked confused. Sophia slowly shook her head. Never heard that name. Charles looked at them in disbelief. You mean... Your father never told you. Evelyn quietly closed her eyes. I was afraid of this. Emily looked from one face to another. Who is Margaret? Charles took a long breath. Margaret Blackwood was Richard's first wife. Guests gasped. Ethan stepped backward. My father was married before my mother. Charles nodded. Yes, she disappeared. 1 year before Aliner married Richard. Chapel became completely silent. Emily whispered, disappeared. Evelyn answered softly, not disappeared. Vanished without leaving a single trace. Sophia looked at Ethan. You knew, he slowly shook his head. No, I swear, I never heard her name. Victor suddenly laughed, a tired, broken laugh. Spent your entire lives believing you knew your family. He looked directly at Emily. But you haven't even uncovered the first secret. Emily's heart pounded. Victor slowly pointed toward the receipt still in Charles' hands. $25 million was never the reason your parents died. Emily whispered. Then what was? Victor looked directly into her eyes. They died. Because they discovered who Margaret Blackwood really was. The entire chapel fell silent. No one noticed that someone standing in the very last row quietly pulled out a phone and sent a single message, ***, Emily remembers. Start phase 2, ***, Emily stared at Victor. What do you mean? Who Margaret Blackwood really was, Victor slowly lowered his head. 24 years. I prayed this day would never come. Charles looked at him. Then tell the truth. Victor gave a bitter smile. Truth has never protected anyone. Evelyn stepped forward. It protected Emily. Victor looked into Emily's eyes. No, only delayed what was coming. Emily clenched her fists. I'm done living with half the story. Me everything. Victor took a deep breath. Margaret Blackwood wasn't just Richard's first wife. Was one of the founders of Blackwood Industries. The room fell silent. Ethan frowned. Company was founded by my grandfather. Victor slowly shook his head. That's what you've been told. Charles opened another file from Aliner's briefcase. Inside was the original incorporation document, 3 signatures, William Blackwood, Margaret Blackwood, Aliner Blackwood. Charles quietly whispered, Victor is telling the truth. Sophia stared at the paper. My father erased her. Victor nodded. Every photograph, every newspaper article, every legal document. Emily looked confused. But why? Victor answered quietly, because Margaret discovered something. Evelyn closed her eyes. She discovered Richard. Emily frowned. What about Richard? Victor's voice became heavy. He wasn't the man everyone believed. Had built a second life. Secret life. Charles slowly unfolded another document, a birth certificate. The mother's name read, ***, Margaret Blackwood, ***, the father's name. Had been blacked out. Emily looked at it. Whose child? Victor swallowed. Child Richard spent 24 years trying to erase. Sophia whispered, no. Victor slowly turned toward Emily. That child was you. Chapel exploded with shock. Emily's heart stopped. Shook his head violently. That's impossible. My father wasn't Emily's uncle. Victor closed his eyes. No, was her father. Emily staggered backward. No, my parents. Victor interrupted. Couple who raised you until you were 5. Weren't your biological parents. They adopted you from Margaret. Emily couldn't breathe. Every memory, every photograph, every story she had believed collapsed in a single moment. Tears streamed down her face. So, I never knew my real mother. Evelyn quietly stepped closer. You did. Emily looked at her. Evelyn gently touched the old photograph. Margaret Blackwood was the woman who gave you life. The woman who disappeared. Because she refused to let Richard take you away. Before anyone could speak, Charles' phone rang. He answered. His face instantly turned pale. Then he slowly lowered the phone. Federal agents had just searched Victor Lang's office inside a hidden safe. They found an old hospital DNA report. Charles looked at Emily. His voice trembled. It confirms one thing. Richard Blackwood was never your father. The entire chapel froze again. Victor whispered, I told you. The truth was never simple. Chapel was completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Emily stared at Charles. That again. Charles slowly lowered the DNA report. It confirms. Richard Blackwood was never your biological father. Emily felt her legs weaken. So, my entire life has been built on lies. Charles quietly nodded. Afraid so. Victor looked down at the floor. For 24 years. They wanted you to chase the wrong answers. Ethan stepped forward. Who is her father? Victor closed his eyes. I don't know. Charles frowned. That's impossible. Victor slowly shook his head. No, Margaret erased his identity herself. Room filled with whispers. Emily looked at Evelyn. You knew my mother better than anyone. She ever tell you? Evelyn hesitated, then quietly answered, only once. Emily's heart pounded. What did she say? Evelyn smiled sadly. She told me. If my daughter ever asks about her father, tell her he was the bravest man I ever knew. Emily whispered. That's all. Evelyn nodded. She never spoke his name. Charles carefully opened another envelope from Aliner's briefcase across the front. Only one sentence was written. ***, give this to Emily only after she learns Richard isn't her father. ***, Emily slowly accepted the envelope. Her hands trembled inside. There was only one page, a handwritten letter. Emily immediately recognized Aliner's writing. My sweet Emily. You're reading this. Then you finally learned Richard was never your father. Tears rolled down Emily's face. She continued reading. The man who gave you life. Never abandoned you. Emily stopped breathing. He searched for you. Every single year. Every birthday. Christmas. He believed you had died with Margaret. Emily covered her mouth. No. Eleanor's letter continued. I wanted to tell him the truth. But someone threatened your life. He came back. You would both die. Emily's vision blurred. So he never knew. Charles quietly answered, no. Believed he had lost his entire family. Emily wiped away her tears. Is he alive? Charles slowly looked toward Evelyn. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, I don't know. I know someone who does. At that exact moment, the chapel doors opened. A middle-aged man wearing a dark blue police uniform stepped inside. He looked directly at Emily, then at Charles. I came as soon as I heard. Charles frowned. Detective Harris. The detective slowly removed his cap. His hands were shaking. He looked at Emily for a long moment, then quietly said, Spent 24 years trying to find you. Emily's heart nearly stopped. What do you mean? The detective reached into his wallet. He removed an old photograph. It showed a smiling young woman, Margaret Blackwood, standing beside a young police officer. The officer looked exactly like the detective standing in front of Emily. Emily whispered, Who is he? The detective's voice broke. That officer was my older brother. He looked into Emily's tear-filled eyes. And I believe he was your father. Emily couldn't breathe. She stared at the old photograph. The young police officer had his arm around Margaret Blackwood. They looked happy, peaceful, like two people who believed they had their entire lives ahead of them. The detective slowly folded the photograph. My brother's name was Michael Harris. Was one of the most honest detectives this city has ever known. Emily whispered, You think? He was my father, Detective Harris nodded. Believed it for 24 years. Charles frowned. Belief isn't proof. Detective reached inside his coat. I know. That's why I brought this. He carefully placed an old leather journal on the table. The cover was worn across the front. Only 2 initials had been engraved, **M.H**. Evelyn gasped. Michael's journal. I thought it was destroyed. Detective slowly shook his head. My brother hid it. I found it only 3 days ago. Emily carefully opened the first page. The handwriting was neat, confident. Very first sentence made her hands begin to shake. If anything happens to Margaret or our little girl. This journal must reach Eleanor. Tears rolled down Emily's face. Little girl. Charles quietly nodded. He was writing about you. Emily turned another page. Every entry spoke about Margaret, about hope, about becoming a father, about building a safe home. Then everything changed. One entry was written in different ink. The handwriting had become rushed. Uneven, Richard knows. Knows Emily isn't his. Said he'll never allow Margaret to leave with the child. The chapel became silent. Emily continued reading. Tomorrow we're meeting Eleanor. She promised she'll help us disappear. We succeed. We'll finally grow up free. The next page had been torn out. Emily looked up. Where is the next page? The detective slowly lowered his eyes. It was missing when I found the journal. Victor suddenly laughed, a tired, broken laugh. You still don't understand. Everyone turned toward him. Victor looked directly at Emily. Asking the wrong question. Emily frowned. What question? Victor's voice became quiet. Stop asking who your father was. Start asking. Who removed that page? Silence. Charles slowly closed the journal. He suddenly realized something. The missing page wasn't ripped out 24 years ago. The edges were fresh. Someone had removed it recently, which meant someone had found Michael's journal before the detective. Someone had read it, and someone was still trying to hide the truth then. A phone inside the chapel vibrated. It wasn't Emily's. It wasn't Charles. It belonged to Detective Harris. He looked at the screen. His face instantly turned pale. Emily whispered, What is it? The detective slowly looked into her eyes. His voice shook. They found Michael. The entire chapel froze. Emily barely managed to speak. My father is alive. The chapel fell into complete silence. Emily stared at Detective Harris. My father is alive. The detective didn't answer immediately. He looked at the message again, then slowly nodded. We believe he is. Emily's knees nearly gave way. For 24 years. She had believed everyone she loved was dead now. Everything was changing. Charles stepped closer. Where is he? The detective swallowed. Message came from a private nursing facility. They admitted an unidentified man 6 months ago. Has no identification. No family. No memory. Emily whispered, No memory. The detective nodded. Doctors believe he suffered a severe head injury many years ago. They couldn't identify him. Evelyn covered her mouth. Oh, Michael. Victor slowly lowered his head. So they didn't kill him. Charles turned toward Victor. You knew he survived. Victor closed his eyes. I heard rumors. Never believed them. Emily stepped closer. If you knew. Why didn't you tell anyone? Victor looked directly into her eyes. Because everyone who searched for Michael disappeared. Silence. Detective Harris continued. The only reason the hospital contacted us was because of something strange. Emily frowned. What happened? The detective pulled out another photograph. It showed an elderly man sitting beside a hospital window. His face was covered with scars. His hair had turned completely white, but around his neck hung a small silver chain. At the end of it was half of a broken heart-shaped pendant. Emily's breathing stopped. She reached into her own dress slowly. She pulled out a necklace she had worn since childhood, a tiny silver heart, broken perfectly down the middle. The entire chapel stared. Emily carefully placed her necklace beside the photograph. The two pieces matched perfectly, like they had never been separated. Tears rolled down Evelyn's face. Margaret always said, "If we're ever separated, Michael will always recognize Emily by the pendant." Emily could no longer hold back her tears. "My mother gave me this." Detective Harris nodded. "My brother wore the other half every day." Charles whispered, "It can't be a coincidence." Detective looked at Emily. Hospital asked one question. Emily wiped away her tears. What question? They wanted to know why a man with no memory keeps whispering the same name every single night. Emily's heart pounded. "What name?" The detective's voice broke. He looked directly into her eyes. "The nurses say, every night before he falls asleep, he whispers only one word." Emily, at that exact moment, the chapel doors burst open. A young federal agent rushed inside. His face was pale. He looked straight at Charles. "Sir, someone just broke into Alina's private office. They didn't steal any money. They took only one thing." Charles frowned. "What?" The agent answered quietly. "Alina's personal diary." And taped to the empty safe was a single handwritten note. Asterisk asterisk, the girl must never meet her father. Asterisk asterisk, the chapel fell silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Charles stared at the federal agent. "Diary is gone," the agent nodded. Every security camera on that floor went black. Exactly 3 minutes. When the system came back online, the safe was empty. Emily felt a chill run through her body. My grandmother's diary. Charles slowly closed his eyes. It contained everything. Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Charles looked around the chapel. 24 years. Alina wrote down every meeting, every threat, every name, every secret. Sophia whispered, "So whoever stole it knows everything." Charles nodded. "Or is trying to make sure we never do." Detective Harris suddenly stepped toward the agent. "Anything left behind?" The young agent reached into an evidence bag. There was only this. He carefully removed a small brass key. The number engraved on it read, asterisk asterisk 214 asterisk asterisk. Emily frowned. "A key." Charles' expression instantly changed. "Know that number?" Evelyn looked at him. "So do I," Charles slowly whispered. "Room 214. The old Blackwood Children's Hospital." Emily looked confused. "I was never there." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "Oh yes, you were." Emily stared at her. "What?" Evelyn nodded. "The night your parents died. You were taken there before anyone brought you to Alina." Emily felt another memory trying to surface. Bright hospital lights, a nurse holding her hand, someone crying in the hallway, then a man kneeling beside her. She couldn't see his face, but she remembered his voice. Asterisk, "Don't be afraid, princess." Asterisk, Emily grabbed her head. "Know that voice?" Detective Harris looked at her. "My brother always called little girls princess." Emily slowly looked up. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "My father." Before anyone could speak again, Victor suddenly shouted, "Don't go to room 214. Everyone turned. Victor's face was pale. "They want you to find it." Charles frowned. "Find what?" Victor whispered. "The recording." Silence. "What recording?" Emily asked. Victor looked directly into her eyes. "Hospital security recording. Last video ever taken. Of your mother alive." Room froze. Evelyn covered her mouth. "I thought it had been destroyed." Victor slowly shook his head. "So did everyone else." Charles took one step closer. "What's on that recording?" Victor's breathing became uneven. "It shows the face of the person who carried Emily out of the hospital." Emily whispered, "My father." Victor closed his eyes. "No, the person who kidnapped you." Chapel erupted into shocked voices. Emily couldn't believe what she had heard. "I wasn't rescued. I was kidnapped." Victor slowly nodded. 24 years. You've been searching for the wrong beginning. Now, you're finally standing at the real one." Chapel erupted into panic. Emily stood frozen. "I wasn't rescued. I was kidnapped." Victor slowly nodded. Yes, 24 years. You've believed a leaner took you home to protect you. The truth is much darker. Charles stepped forward. If you know everything. Didn't you speak years ago? Victor laughed bitterly. Because I wanted to live. Spent 24 years afraid of the same people. Detective Harris looked directly at him. Start talking. Victor took a deep breath. The night Margaret was attacked. Emily wasn't supposed to survive. Room became silent. Evelyn covered her mouth. No, Victor continued. The plan was simple. Margaret, kill Michael, the child. Erase every trace she ever existed. Emily felt sick. Why? Victor answered quietly. Because you inherited something. Ethan frowned. Money? Victor slowly shook his head. No, something far more dangerous. Charles whispered, "What?" Victor looked directly at Emily. Legal ownership of Blackwood Industries. The chapel exploded with shocked voices. Sophia stared at him. That's impossible. Our family owned the company. Victor answered calmly. No, Margaret did. Emily was born. Every share automatically transferred into a trust. The company legally belonged to Emily. Silence. Charles slowly closed his eyes. So that's why. Victor nodded. Richard never wanted the child. Wanted the company. Emily couldn't believe what she was hearing. So, my whole life, Victor interrupted, was stolen. Before Emily could answer, Charles suddenly remembered something. Eleanor's diary. Victor nodded immediately. She wrote down where the original trust documents were hidden. Detective Harris looked at Charles. If someone stole the diary, they're going after the documents. Charles whispered, and if they destroy them? Emily asked, what happens? Charles looked directly into her eyes. Legally. It would be as if you never existed. Room fell silent again. At that exact moment, Sophia slowly stood. Everyone turned toward her. Tears streamed down her face. She looked at Emily. Have to tell you something. Emily frowned. What is it? Sophia's voice trembled. When I was 16, I accidentally heard my father arguing with someone. Emily stared at her. He kept saying, Emily ever remembers. We'll lose everything. Emily's heart stopped. Sophia burst into tears. I wanted to tell you. I was terrified. Emily slowly walked toward her for the first time in 18 years. The two sisters stood face to face. Sophia whispered, I'm so sorry for believing the lies. Emily looked into her sister's eyes, then quietly wrapped her arms around her. Sophia broke down crying across the chapel. Ethan lowered his head for the first time in his life. He realized the sister he had rejected for 18 years had been fighting a battle she never chose. The chapel was silent. Sophia still held Emily tightly for the first time in 18 years. They weren't strangers, they were sisters. Emily slowly wiped the tears from Sophia's face. You don't have to apologize alone. Sophia looked confused. Emily smiled sadly. We were both children. The adults chose the lies. Across the room, Ethan couldn't lift his head. Every cruel word he had ever spoken echoed inside his mind. Asterisk, you're not one of us. Asterisk, asterisk, you don't belong here. Asterisk, asterisk, you've taken enough from this family. Asterisk, now he knew. Every one of those words had been spoken to the person his mother had begged him to protect. Charles quietly broke the silence. We don't have much time. People who stole Eleanor's diary are already looking for the trust documents. Detective Harris nodded. And if they find them first, they'll destroy the only proof that Emily is the rightful heir. Emily looked at Charles. Where are they hidden? Charles hesitated. I don't know. Eleanor never told me. Victor suddenly spoke. I know where she hid them. Everyone turned. Victor's face was filled with regret. She trusted me once. Before I betrayed her. Emily stared at him. Where? Victor slowly answered. The old Blackwood greenhouse. Sophia frowned. Greenhouse burned down years ago. Victor quietly shook his head. No, only the top floor burned. Beneath it, there's a hidden cellar. Charles' eyes widened. I remember. Eleanor had it built after Margaret disappeared. Victor nodded, she called it. The room that keeps the truth alive. Emily whispered, then we have to go. Before anyone moved, a loud ringing echoed through the chapel. Charles looked at his phone, unknown number. He answered. Who is this? A calm voice replied, you're already too late. The call ended at that exact moment. The lights inside the chapel went out, darkness. People screamed. Someone knocked over a chair. A loud crash echoed through the room. Emily felt someone grab her arm. She instinctively pulled away. When the emergency lights finally came on, everyone looked around. Charles was still there. Sophia was still there. Ethan, Detective Harris, Victor, but one person had disappeared. Evelyn. The chapel doors stood wide open. Cold wind blew through the room. On the floor, where Evelyn had been standing, lay only her wooden cane, and beneath it, a folded note. Charles slowly opened it. His face turned pale. He whispered, have Evelyn. Emily felt her heart sink. Charles handed her the note. Only one sentence had been written. Asterisk asterisk bring Emily to the greenhouse alone. If you ever want to see Evelyn alive again, asterisk asterisk Emily stared at the note. Her hands trembled. Asterisk asterisk bring Emily to the greenhouse alone. If you ever want to see Evelyn alive again, asterisk asterisk the chapel fell silent. Sophia shook her head. No, you're not going. Detective Harris agreed. It's a trap. Victor slowly closed his eyes. Of course it is. They've waited 24 years for this. Emily looked at everyone. If I don't go, Evelyn dies. Charles stepped forward. Alina made me promise something. If this day ever came, I was never to let you face them alone. Emily smiled sadly. I don't think they're giving us a choice. She carefully folded the note and slipped it into her pocket. Then she looked at Ethan for the first time. He couldn't meet her eyes. Finally, he whispered, Emily. Sorry, she waited. He continued. When you were little, I hid your birthday presents. I tore up the drawings you made for me. I wanted you to feel like you didn't belong. His voice broke. I was jealous. You never stopped smiling. Even when we gave you every reason to cry, tears rolled down Sophia's face. Emily looked at Ethan for a long moment, then quietly asked, Do you know what hurt the most? Ethan slowly shook his head. It wasn't the words. It was waiting. Every birthday. Hoping my big brother would finally hug me. Chapel became completely silent. Ethan couldn't stop crying for the first time in 18 years. He understood what he had taken from her without saying another word. He walked toward Emily, then slowly wrapped his arms around her. Emily froze. She had imagined this moment. Since she was 6 years old, her brother can't change the past. If you'll let me, spend the rest of my life protecting you. Emily quietly closed her eyes then. She hugged him back across the room. When Victor wiped away a tear, Charles looked at his watch. We have less than an hour. Detective Harris suddenly received another call. He answered. His face instantly turned pale. What? Emily looked at him. What happened? The detective slowly lowered the phone. Officers just searched the old greenhouse. Everyone stared at him. It wasn't empty. Emily whispered. What did they find? The detective's voice shook. A hidden room. Charles stepped forward. And the detective swallowed hard. In the middle of that room, there's a child's rocking chair. Emily felt a cold shiver run through her body. The detective continued. It has your name carved into the wood. Silence. Then he spoke the words that terrified everyone. It looks like someone has been waiting for you to come back. Room fell silent. Emily couldn't take her eyes off Detective Harris. A rocking chair. With my name, the detective nodded slowly. Officers confirmed it. The letters were carved by hand. Emily. Charles frowned. Who would build a room like that? Victor looked toward the chapel windows. His face had turned pale. I know who. Everyone looked at him. Man Richard feared more than anyone. Emily whispered, Who is he? Victor hesitated, then quietly answered, His name is Adrian Cole. Chapel became silent. Charles frowned. Never heard that name. Victor nodded. No one has. Doesn't appear in company records. Owns nothing. Signs nothing. For 30 years. He stood behind everything. Sophia looked confused. What does he want with Emily? Victor's voice became heavy. Emily, the truth, believed that if Emily ever remembered her childhood, everything he built would collapse. Emily slowly stepped closer. Is he the man who kidnapped me? Victor closed his eyes. I don't know. I know this. Was inside the hospital the night you disappeared. Detective Harris suddenly received another message. He opened it. His expression instantly changed. They found something else. What? The hidden room wasn't empty. Emily's heart pounded. Who was inside? The detective slowly looked up. No one. There was fresh food, a lit fireplace, a cup of hot coffee. Charles whispered. Someone had just left. Detective nodded. Less than 10 minutes before our officers arrived. Emily felt a chill run through her body. He knew we were coming. Victor quietly replied, No, wanted you to know. He was waiting. Before anyone could speak again, one of the federal agents rushed into the chapel. Sir, we found a hidden camera inside the rocking chair. Charles frowned. A camera, the agent nodded. It was still recording. Detective immediately opened the video. Everyone gathered around the screen. The recording showed the hidden room empty, silent. Then, a man wearing black gloves slowly walked into view. His face remained hidden. He sat in the tiny rocking chair, looked directly into the camera, then quietly smiled. His voice was calm. Hello, Emily. The entire chapel froze. The man continued. If you're watching this, it means you're finally close enough to hear the truth. He slowly placed an old family photograph onto the floor. It showed Margaret, Michael, a little girl, and one more person, A man whose face had been carefully burned away. Emily's breathing stopped. The stranger pointed at the burned photograph, then quietly said, "That's your real father." Room erupted. Detective Harris whispered, "What?" The stranger smiled again. "Man you've been searching for was never Michael Harris." Emily felt the world collapse around her. Every answer she had found had just become another lie. The chapel became completely silent. Emily couldn't breathe. "Man I've been searching for was never Michael Harris." Detective Harris stared at the screen. His hands began to shake. "No, my brother loved Margaret. He was going to raise Emily." Stranger on the recording nodded slowly. "That's true. Love and blood are not the same." Emily felt tears filling her eyes. "So my whole life been searching for the wrong father." Stranger looked directly into the camera. "No, you've been searching for the wrong story." He slowly picked up the burned photograph. "Michael Harris died protecting you, chose to become your father, even though you weren't his child." Room fell silent. Detective Harris closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his face. "My brother," the stranger continued. "He never cared whose blood ran through your veins. Loved you from the day you were born." Emily could no longer hold back her tears. She whispered, "He still called me his daughter, even knowing the truth." Stranger smiled sadly. "He died a better father than most men who share their children's blood." Nobody spoke then. The stranger's expression changed. He looked straight into the camera. "Emily, you're asking the wrong question. You shouldn't ask, 'Who is my father?' You should ask, 'Why was my identity erased?'" Charles frowned. "What does he mean?" The stranger slowly unfolded another photograph. This one had never been burned. It showed Alina, holding a newborn baby. Standing beside her was Margaret, and a man whose face was clearly visible. Emily stared at him. She had never seen him before. The stranger pointed toward the man. "There, that's your father." Before anyone could study the photograph, the stranger took out a lighter. He set the picture on fire. Emily. Photograph burned to ashes. The stranger quietly stood, walked toward the camera, then removed one black leather glove. Everyone in the chapel froze. Across the back of his right hand was a crescent-shaped birthmark. Evelyn had once described that mark. 24 years earlier, she had whispered to Alina, "Asterisk if you ever meet the man with the crescent mark. Asterisk asterisk. Run." Asterisk. Charles' face turned completely white. He whispered, "Oh my God." Victor staggered backward. "It can't be." The stranger smiled, then quietly spoke his final words. "Tell Emily I'll be waiting for her at the place where her mother took her last breath." The screen went black at that exact moment. Emily's phone vibrated. Unknown number. She opened the message. Only one sentence appeared. Asterisk asterisk come alone. "Or your father dies before sunrise." Asterisk asterisk. Emily stared at the message. Asterisk asterisk come alone. "Or your father dies before sunrise." Asterisk asterisk. Her hands began to shake. The chapel was silent. Charles stepped closer. "What does it say?" Emily slowly handed him the phone. His face instantly turned pale. "Forcing you." Detective Harris quietly shook his head. "No, they're desperate." Victor looked directly at Emily. "They've controlled this story for 24 years. If they're making mistakes now, they're afraid." Emily whispered, "I'm tired of running." She looked around the chapel. "Everyone I love keeps getting hurt because of me." Ethan immediately stepped forward. "No, because of their lies." For the first time, Emily saw the brother she had always wished for. He looked at her with guilt, but also with determination. "I'm not losing another sister." Sophia took Emily's hand. "And you're not going alone." Emily smiled through tears. "I finally have a family, and I don't want to lose it." Charles carefully unfolded the map Alina had hidden inside her briefcase. "I think I know where they want you." Everyone gathered around. At the bottom corner, a faded red circle surrounded one place. Asterisk asterisk Riverside Bridge. Asterisk asterisk. Evelyn whispered, "That's where Margaret died." Victor slowly shook his head. "No, that's where everyone believed she died." Room froze. Emily looked at him. "What do you mean?" Victor swallowed. "I saw her fall into the river." "But I never saw her body." Silence. Detective Harris frowned. "Saying Margaret might have survived?" Victor looked down. "Asked myself that question every day for 24 years. Before anyone could answer, a federal agent rushed inside. "Sir, we've identified the phone that sent Emily the message." Charles looked up. "Where is it?" The agent's voice trembled. "It isn't moving." "It's already at Riverside Bridge." Emily whispered, "So they're waiting." Agent slowly shook his head. "No, there's something else." "What?" The agent placed a drone photograph on the table. Emily's heart stopped. An elderly man was tied to a chair beneath the bridge. His face was bruised. His hands were bound. Around his neck hung the other half of the silver heart pendant. Detective Harris covered his mouth, tears filled his eyes. Michael. Emily couldn't breathe. She touched the photograph with trembling fingers for the first time in 24 years. She was looking at the man, who had loved her like his own daughter. Then another message appeared on her phone. Only 4 words, asterisk asterisk 1 hour. Come alone, asterisk asterisk. Emily looked at the message again, asterisk asterisk 1 hour. Come alone, asterisk asterisk. She slowly locked her phone, then looked at everyone standing around her, Charles, Detective Harris, Ethan, Sophia, Victor, for the first time in her life. She wasn't alone. Emily took a deep breath. I'm going. Ethan immediately stepped in front of her. No, if anyone goes, it's me. Emily smiled sadly. Spent 18 years trying to protect the wrong people. Me protect mine. Ethan shook his head. I already failed you once. Not failing you again. Sophia quietly wrapped her arms around Emily. When we were children, you protected me every night. It's my turn now. Emily closed her eyes. The words she had waited almost 20 years to hear finally came. Charles interrupted gently. Listen to me. Elinor spent her last years preparing for this day. Never intended for Emily to face them alone. He reached into his briefcase one final time. Inside was a small sealed envelope across the front. Only 5 handwritten words appeared, asterisk asterisk for Emily. At the end, asterisk asterisk. Emily slowly opened it. Inside there was only one letter written by Elinor, asterisk my precious Emily. You've opened this. Asterisk asterisk, then you've already survived more pain than any child should ever know. Asterisk tears rolled down Emily's face. Asterisk please remember one thing. Asterisk asterisk families are not created by blood. Asterisk asterisk they're created by the people who choose to stand beside you. Asterisk asterisk even when the truth hurts. Asterisk Emily looked around. Ethan stood beside her. Sophia held her hand. Detective Harris refused to leave. Charles remained calm. Even Victor, the man who had made terrible choices, had stayed to tell the truth. For the first time, Emily understood Elinor's words. She finally had a family. Just then, the chapel doors burst open. A young FBI agent ran inside. Mr. Surrounded Riverside Bridge, Charles frowned. Then why are you here? The agent swallowed. Because there's nobody there. Room froze. Emily whispered. What? The chair is there. The ropes are there. Silver pendant is there. No, Michael. Detective Harris stepped forward. Did you search the area? We searched everything. Nothing. Victor slowly closed his eyes. It's another trap. Charles suddenly noticed something. The photograph lying on the table. He picked it up, then turned it over. His face instantly changed. On the back, someone had written a message in fresh black ink. Asterisk asterisk wrong bridge. Asterisk asterisk beneath it. Another sentence. Asterisk asterisk ask Emily where she was truly taken 24 years ago. Asterisk asterisk Emily's breathing became uneven. Suddenly, a memory she had buried her entire life came rushing back. A red lighthouse. The sound of crashing waves, a woman singing softly, then a little wooden house. Emily whispered only 3 words. I remember now. Victor looked directly at her. Where? Emily slowly raised her eyes. Lighthouse. Detective Harris's face turned pale. No, Charles whispered, the old Blackwater lighthouse. Victor nodded. I should have known. Emily frowned. What? Victor looked toward the chapel doors. His voice trembled. Because Margaret never died at the bridge. Took her last breath. Inside the lighthouse, room fell completely silent. Emily's heart pounded. She finally understood everything had been leading her there. The Blackwater lighthouse stood alone against the crashing waves. Rain poured from the night sky. Lightning lit the cliffs for only a second at a time. Emily stopped the car for a long moment. No one moved. She looked at Ethan, then at Sophia, then at Charles, finally at Detective Harris. You all came. Ethan smiled through tired eyes. We're your family. We're supposed to. Emily couldn't stop the tears for the first time in her life. She believed those words. They slowly climbed the stone steps. The old wooden door stood half open. Inside, only silence. A single lantern burned in the center of the room, and beside it, an elderly man sat in a chair. His hands were tied. His face was bruised. The silver heart pendant still hung around his neck. Detective Harris whispered, Michael. The old man slowly opened his eyes. He looked at Emily. Tears immediately filled them. His voice was barely a whisper. Little princess. Emily collapsed to her knees. He remembered, even after 24 years. He remembered. She rushed forward, wrapped her arms around him. Michael quietly cried. Sorry. I couldn't find you. Emily shook her head. You never stopped trying. Before another word could be spoken, slow applause echoed through the lighthouse. Everyone turned. A man stepped out from the darkness. He wore a long black coat. The crescent-shaped birthmark was visible on the back of his hand. He smiled. So, the family is finally together. Charles stepped in front of Emily. It's over. Stranger laughed softly. No, it ended 24 years ago. He slowly removed a small pistol. Federal agents outside shouted, "Drop the weapon." The man ignored them instead. He looked directly at Emily. "Do you know why I failed?" Emily remained silent. "Because your mother chose love instead of fear." He lowered the gun for the first time. His voice trembled. "I thought power was everything. I was wrong." He slowly placed the pistol on the floor. Federal agents rushed inside within seconds. He was in handcuffs. No one fired a single shot. No one died. The nightmare was finally over. Asterisk, 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 6 months later. The Blackwood mansion looked different. The portraits of lies were gone in the main hall. A new photograph hung above the fireplace. Margaret, Michael, Elena, Emily, Ethan, Sophia, a family. Finally standing together. Emily never became obsessed with money. She donated most of the company shares to a foundation that helped orphaned children find loving homes. She kept only one thing, the old silver heart pendant, every morning. She touched it before leaving home, not to remember the pain, but to remember the people who never stopped loving her. On the anniversary of Eleanor's funeral, Emily placed 3 white roses beside 3 graves. Margaret, Elena, Michael. She smiled through her tears. "You kept your promise. You brought me home." As she turned to leave, Ethan and Sophia were waiting for her, without saying a word. Ethan wrapped one arm around her shoulders. Sophia took her hand. The 3 of them walked away together, not because they shared the same blood, but because they had finally chosen each other. Sometimes, the greatest family is not the one you're born into, it's the one that finds its way back to you after the truth is finally told. Asterisk, asterisk, the end.